Okay. Hello to everybody that is joining, will be joining, will join later. Sorry I'm late. It's been an eventful last half hour. It's been a trip. So, yeah, hold on. I gotta catch my breath. And while I do so, I'm gonna pull up some timers because I'm not ready. I thought I was gonna be able to be ready. I'm not. It's been a day. I'm sorry. Give me a few. We get all this figured out. And while you're you come in, say hello if you can, and tell me how you're doing because it's been a minute since I've been here. I apologize. It has been a very crazy few weeks, months. I don't even freaking know at this point. Go with that, I guess. Hello, Tina. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you're doing well. Don't mind me if you start hearing stuff in the background. I'm just trying to find timers. But yeah, how's everyone doing? Hope you're doing okay. And pretty okay. A little while. I don't know. I'm so all over the place today. It's been a time. We'll just Sorry, that was really loud. I did not intend for it to be very loud. I'm sorry. Rip headphone users, genuinely. Yeah, take your time getting settled. Thank you. Hi, good evening. Hello, Issa. I'm okay. The last 20 minutes was very interesting. I will tell you guys all about it here in just a minute. I'm just right now go ahead and getting some timers for everybody so we can use them. I'm very behind. I was not expecting to be so far behind today, but it is what it is. You know, it's one of those days, but we're doing all right. It's like a solid 7 out of 10 for today, I guess. Hello, Saf. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. All right. Notes. So, let's do that one. All right. Well, now that I've kind of caught my breath a little bit. So what happened in the last 20 minutes was this. I was getting my pizza out of the oven because I haven't eaten dinner yet. And so I will be eating during this first sprint that we'll be doing more than likely. But so I got to give a little background. So husband is out right now. He is hanging out with his parents. His parents went camping and they had brought Oscar's actual older sister, older sister, out to come stay with us at first. And they usually get along really, really well. Anytime we have, taken him over there to my in-laws, he's done great. For some reason, though, today, of all days, when his sister is coming to stay with us, he wants to be a little shit. Naturally, right? Because he's at that age where he wants to hump every female dog that is within reach. So his sister, is one of those. And so we thought, okay, he's getting a little too much. He's getting a little rowdy. Maybe it would be better for us to take her back to their place because they had told us that, basically they didn't want her to get into anything as much as they could. But they understood, obviously if we had to take her back to their place or whatever, they'll be fine. There's other dogs at the house, they'll keep her in line, whatever. Well, Robert takes her to go to the campground where his parents are staying, just so he can go hang out with them. We haven't really been able to see them very much in the last little while. So he goes over there with her and says, hey, would you, after your pizza's done and taken out of the oven, would you go take them on a short walk? And I did. Went to basically the end of our dead-end road, and we usually, for a short walk, go all the way down, come all the way back to the house. Right? So get down, all the way down. There's a couple kids that are shooting hoops, basically, down the road. And we go to loop back around and come back. All of a sudden, one of these kids screams out, hey. And then next thing I know, Oscar's freaking out. He's trying to run away from something. And I see this golden retriever just chasing him. And I don't know if this dog was looking to hurt him. I don't know if he was trying to say hello, whatever the case may be. He scared the shit out of my dog, who is now currently laying at my feet because he is so upset. He's traumatized by that because he thought there was another dog coming to attack him. And so I'm trying to like rein him in so that I can protect him because he's just running and running and running and pulling my arm, what feels like out of its socket. And he's freaking out. So I'm trying to protect him, and this dog just will not leave him alone. And eventually these kids, they get the dog away from us. And kindly, another person who they were pulling into their driveway had seen what happened. They were close enough to see what was going on. She comes over and she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, is he okay? Did anything happen?" And I'm like, "No, thank God. The dog didn't bite him, didn't do anything." So that's a saving grace of all of it. And then there was another dog that was also coming up behind that golden retriever that like stayed far enough away. I don't know if like somebody like reined him in quicker or whatever. But my poor baby, he's freaking out. Like, he doesn't know what's going on. So the entire way back home, he's like trying to run away from me to run back to the house. So yeah, that was the last 20 minutes. And part of the reason why I was late today. And my back now hurts from having my arm pulled so much by Oscar. Like, I wish I could show you guys him right now, but I'm sure you might have seen him crawl under through the chair. He is now laying at my feet because he is so upset. And it didn't help the fact that he was, in a sense, stressed out with his sister being here. So yeah, he's probably going to be staying at my feet for quite some time today. I will not be surprised. So, hi, Princess. Thank you for joining today. Hello, Nova. Welcome. Oh, no, poor baby. That must have been so stressful. Oh, my God, yeah. Not just for him, too, but for me. Like, that was stressful for me because I'm worried, like, if my dog's going to get hurt. Hold on one second. I had to send Robert something. I had to send him a picture. There we go. But, yeah, that was stressful for him. The poor thing. I'm going to give him scritches while he's down here, my baby. You okay, honey? I know, sweet boy. It's okay. You're here now. You're safe. So yeah, that was my last 20 minutes. So I'm sorry I'm late, but I had to I then had to take him out to the backyard to make sure if he needed to poop that he did that, get my pizza, get my drink, and then come set up. And I had totally forgotten I did not have anything set up for tonight. So I've got almost all my timers, but we will get the rest of them here real quick. I just got to get a couple more. But man, oh man, it's been a day. Hi, Destiny. Welcome. Hello, Anthony. Welcome. Hey, Paco. Hey, you just got home. Awesome. Glad you could make it. Yeah, so let's see. What else do I need? I got the 45. I need a 50, 55, and a 60. That's all I need still. So, how have your guys' week been? What's been going on? You guys been doing okay? I know I haven't really been doing sprints the last few weeks. It's just been, I decide I want to do sprints, and then something usually comes up where, like, you know, I want to go hang out with family during the day, whatever the case may be, and it ends up being where I'm out until the evening to the point where I don't even have time to set up for sprints. Like, the last couple weekends where I've had to cancel have been because I was going to be out past 8, and by the time I got home, I was going to be exhausted. Tattoos are looking hot. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know. My daggers I still can't get over the fact that I have these, and I've had them now for almost 2 months. And I'm still just like, oh, I'm so happy to have them. So, yeah. Anyway, other than that, things have been doing pretty okay for me. Just, you know, busy with work, trying to get stuff taken care of, trying to continue the pattern I've been doing of basically trying to do a lot of content stuff on Saturdays and Sundays and keeping up with that schedule, which that by itself is fine. It's just like, it sucks when like you want to do stuff for yourself, like doing stuff like creative wise, and you also want to spend all your time with your family and like hanging out with everybody, that like you don't realize sometimes those family events that are super fun that you want to be invested in also end up taking over time. it's just balance, right? It's hard to have balance all the time, and we do the best we can, but sometimes it's rough. All right, so I get one more timer, and then we'll be good, and then we'll sit and chat for a minute before our first sprint. Let's do that one. Why not? All right. Family and I have COVID. Oh, no! But it's not terrible, and we've been using the time off to all hang out, which we don't get to do enough. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm sorry you guys have COVID. That sucks. But I'm glad you get to spend time together. I guess that might be the silver lining if you want to look for one. Hi, Carissa. Welcome. All right, folks. Got to make sure I get my screen stuff all set up. There we go. All right. Well, okay. So I'm going to quickly run down everything for you guys. We'll get started with our first sprint here at the 20-minute mark. But I'll go over everything rules-wise for anybody that's new, because I do see some new faces here. So you might not be familiar with how I do reading sprints, and I will go over that for everybody. Day's been nonstop, so I don't have the brain for a physical book, but I'll try an audio book. Hey, do what you got to do. You know, I actually am going to be starting a new book today. I finished a book earlier today. Where did I? Oh, it's in the living room. Crap. Oops. I'll get it in a minute. But I'll be starting a new book today. I'll actually be starting, I have the dust jacket right here. Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea, Earnshaw. I'm so excited. I'm really excited for this one. I haven't really heard anything about it in terms of like whether people like it or not, but I will say I'm a little nervous because of the fact it is an adaptation of a very well-established story, similar to like how there was Hocus Pocus and then Hocus Pocus, the sequel that came out. I heard the sequel to Hocus Pocus, the book, was not great. So I am a little nervous about this one being a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas. But I also do like Shea Earnshaw's writing. So I think it should be okay. We'll see. Swear that I haven't been at your sprints in a minute. Girl, I haven't even been doing them in a minute. Like, it's been a hot minute since I've even actually had time to do them. But today, I have the house to myself. Robert's gone for probably most of the evening, if not the entire night, hanging out with his parents. I got time today. I got the time. Woo! So, working on my schedule for next week. Nice. Good. Hope everything's going all right. Hope that everything is going tip-top for you right now. I know things might not always be, but, you know, some days if you can get your schedule at least written down, that always makes me feel better. You know, just knowing, like, I know exactly where everything's supposed to go, when I'm supposed to do things, like, makes it a lot easier for my brain. But, okay. So, I need to go through and explain this, especially because some of you might need a refresher since it has been a minute since I've done this. So, for those of you that may be new or need the refresher, I do what are called D12 Reading Sprints, which basically means I roll this thing here, which is called a D12 as I drop it. It's a 12-sided die, and for every number that there is on there, we multiply that number by 5, and that gives us the time that we have for the sprint. Okay? With me so far? Okay. So, there's a few rules to that. First of all, anytime we roll a 1, a natural 1, that then requires me to then re-roll, and whatever number I get, I either have to double the time that we would normally get for that roll, or half that number. So for instance, if we rolled, say, the 1, and then we rolled let's say a 10. Now normally, when I roll a 10, I would have to do a 50-minute sprint. But because this is over half an hour, I will have that to a 25-minute sprint. And if we get, say, a 5, because this would normally be 25 minutes and it's under half an hour, this would then be doubled. So basically, up to half an hour, we will double. More than half an hour, so 35 minutes to 60 minutes, we will have if we roll that natural 1. So then from there, the first sprint we ever do, every sprint, is going to be no more than 30 minutes. So no matter what I roll, it has to be under a 6 for us to do 30 minutes. And even if we roll a 1, it doesn't count for this first sprint. So I could roll a 1 and still have to re-roll, but that wouldn't end up being doubled unless that number is still, you know, say like a 2. If I rolled a 2 after that 1, then that could be doubled to then do a 20-minute sprint, because otherwise it would be 10 minutes. If that doesn't make sense, please feel free to ask questions. I can talk through it with you. But otherwise, those are the only rules. So it's actually doing sprints with Becca earlier, so it's interesting to see dice sprints for a second time. Oh, yeah. I forgot she was doing sprints today. Actually, funny enough, that's kind of where I got this idea. And I used to say it a long time ago, but I stopped talking about it because basically, for those of you that don't know, Becca, from Becca in the books, she does basically, instead of a D12, she rolls 2 6-sided die, and that gets multiplied by 5 to get the sprint. And she does things a little bit differently with them, but concept's pretty similar, except instead of using, as I drop them, instead of using 2 6-sided die, I just use a D12, so it's easier. I got it. Oh, sorry, Bubba. My bad. Oh, those are Patreon sprints. Okay, because I know she did sprints starting off September for Bogoplathon, but I didn't know she was, okay. I know she does them for Patreon, but I didn't know she was doing them today for Patreon. So, yeah, that makes sense. Well, glad you get to join in and more dice sprints. Always fun. So, with that being said, it is 8:20 for me, but the 20-minute mark. So we're going to go ahead and do our first roll and see what we end up getting for our first sprint. All right, so we rolled a 4. So that means we're going to do a 20-minute sprint. 5 times 4 is 20, so we do 20-minute sprints. A 20-minute sprint to start us off. And this is perfect because it's, hold on, let me show you. Where's my thing? Where is it? There it is. It's a pizza timer, and I have pizza to eat. It's perfect. It's the little things, guys. It really is the little things. Come on. All right. I'm way too hyped right now. I gotta chill it out. So we're gonna do 20 minutes of reading, everybody. Please enjoy, have fun, good luck with your reading, and I will see you guys in 20 minutes. Go ahead and get started. Hope you guys can hear that. Sorry if I scared you. Didn't mean to. Okay. So that was the end of our first sprint. Hope you guys did well. I did eat my food. Oscar did need to go back outside. And I guess it's going to start possibly storming out here. So if at any point I disappeared, that is why. Because storm seems to be coming in. It's been really hot today. Like it was almost 90 after having had like basically low 80s to high 70s for a good couple of weeks. So this is very likely just like heat, lightning, thunder. Hopefully that's all it is. But if something happens, that's why. Tasty timer. Yes, it was a very tasty timer. And the pizza was good too. Listen to 4% of the Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Okay. Man, it's been a hot minute since I've read that one. I liked it. Ruth Ware is kind of hit or miss for me, it seems like. Because I've read that one and I read The Death of Mrs. Westaway, and I really liked The Death of Mrs. Westaway. But The Woman in Cabin 10, I think I would need to reread it or something. Or at the very least, maybe read the physical book by itself for The Death of Mrs. Westaway or something. Because, like, I don't know, something about her writing just doesn't hit for me exactly. Listen to 20% of The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Niveau. I have heard amazing things about that. And I think the third book in that series is coming out here really soon. I'm going to do the last book of Thirst. I actually already have read that. There is a video for that. If you check out the playlist for my Thirst reread series, I think there should be a video. Let me double check that actually now that you've reminded me. Give me a second. Let me go double check, because I do remember there having been an issue with one of my videos. Something like that. I remember there was some kind of an issue when I was working on that series with that. So let me double check real quick. Because if I didn't make a video, if I didn't make the video for it, there's a reason why. Let's see. Here's the playlist. That's right, I never did. Oh, man. Okay, so here's what happened. I remember this having happened, and I apologize for this. I know that I should have made a video. I did complete it. I did complete the final book. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The reason why it didn't come out was because at the time, my footage had got corrupted. Yeah. And I had done a whole reading vlog review similar to the ones that are in that playlist. And the footage was corrupted and I couldn't use it. And I don't think I remembered to make another video, just like a standard review. I think that's what if I remember correctly, that is what happened, is that it ended up being where I totally forgot to make the review video for that. So I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I did enjoy it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. That whole series got so much better as it went along. And especially when you got past the initial 6 books, it got so much better. So, read the series when I was in jail. Really? Wow, that's awesome. I appreciate you asking, though, because I had totally forgotten about that. So, about to play some Apex. I'm going to go. All right, have fun. Have fun playing Apex. I think it's heading for a 3. It's all right, but I called this twist too easily. 80%, so I'm waiting to see if she pulls something cool off at the end. We'll see. Yeah, I think that was my big issue with that one in particular, was I did call things pretty early on, if I remember correctly, because, gosh, Women in Cabin 10 I read probably like 3 years ago, at least. So, yeah, I do remember it being pretty predictable. The Death of Mrs. Westaway was a little bit better, but I think it was really slow. And I only listened to the audiobook of that one, so it wasn't really, like, the best. Read 4% of The Devil Crept In by Ania Allhorn. Ooh. Nice. But yeah, so, yeah. First, that that was a fun series. I'm glad I did a reread series of that, honestly, because I remember having fond memories of it. And the first video I had done of that, I was under the impression that the author had not really done any research because I wasn't sure. I felt too uncomfortable with my own lack of knowledge of Hindu mythology and Hindu stories to say whether or not this was accurate or not, like the series was done perfectly. But from what most people have said in the comments of that is that he did a really good job. And apparently, yeah, I hated it. I hated the first book. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I felt personally like I didn't know for certain whether or not, and keep in mind, this was like 2 years ago since I read this book, right? So thoughts have obviously changed since then. But at the time that I read it, I hated it because, for one, I don't like the insta-love thing. I hate the insta-love aspect with Ray. I think that was stupid. But that was a very big thing at the time, was insta-love. And also, I hated how short it was. But again, that was a product of its time. The series had started out in the 90s. So it was normal for stories back then to be like 200 pages and that's it. And at the time, I didn't fully understand that. And I also, again, didn't know enough of the Hindu mythology to really bolster that rating, because if I had known that he did actually a really good job and understood the mythology pretty well to incorporate it in the story, it probably would have gotten initially a higher rating, probably more of a 3-star. But I was so uncomfortable with the fact that I did not know, that I didn't even want to rate that at a 3-star because I didn't know, right? Like, why would you want to give credit to something that you don't even know if it deserves that credit? But thankfully, everybody was pretty awesome about telling me that it did. And like I said, the story got better. The stories got better as they went. I really enjoyed them. I did appreciate, especially, like I said, the final 3 books. The final 3 books. They were just way better. And I think that was partially because they were written so many years after the initial ones. And I think that they just tied everything up really well. Better than what I remembered, because funny enough, when I first read the last book, I hated it. I hated the last book back when I was in high school. So this was talking like, gosh, going on 10, 15 years ago almost. And I hated it because I thought the very end, what happens to Sita at the very end, I thought that was so out of left field. And when I did my reread series, I was shocked to see that it actually made sense. Like, everything made sense at the end of it all. I don't know what past me was thinking when I had read it. I just, for some reason, back then was not aware that that was even happening and that it made any lick of sense. And I ended up really enjoying my time rereading it. Like, that's a series that I will like to go back. Hi, Courtney. Welcome. Hello, Gigra. Reading a little of The Many Daughters of Afong Moy before I switch to The Way of Kings. Oh, gosh, you're already starting on Way of Kings? I'm waiting until the middle of the month with the 24-hour readathon. Like, good luck with it, though. Hopefully you end up liking it. Text the spaceships. Yep. Odds that I've been watching the playlist past 2 days and now see you live. That is crazy. I'm so glad you joined in. Thank you for coming in. Whole novels. Yep, the last 3 were. Yeah. Ending. Wait, ending match to see more. I'm not sure what that means. Writing. What books am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about the Thirst series by Christopher Pike. It's a initially 90s young adult vampire story that then, like, it was 6 small books originally, and then in like I want to say the late mid 2000s kind of area, I think, it got picked up again by Christopher Pike, and there were 3 longer novels that were created off of it. And I did like a whole, sorry, brain all of a sudden wanted to malfunction there for a second. I did basically a reread series, and Pizza Dog here was asking me about the fact that I initially had a final video because I went through the whole reread series, and for the last book, I didn't even have a video for the last book that I read, and we were just talking about, going through reading that. Remember when Seymour? Oh yeah. Yep. Seymour wrote in his own story of Sita that she went back in time, didn't turn into a vampire, and then at the very end of the last book, she ends up doing it. Yes, I do remember. Yeah, that was, at the time when I first read it, back in like high school, this was like probably my freshman or sophomore year of high school. So again, we're talking like almost 15 years ago. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand any of that. And when I reread it, back in like 2020, 2021, so much better. I so much better understood everything that was going on. And I think that was also partially because I've read so much more since the first time that like everything became clearer because I had a better understanding of how stories work, if that makes sense. That like a bootleg Twilight? No, not exactly. It is actually more of like, so the main character, Sita, we'll talk about this and then we'll get into the next sprint. Don't worry, everybody. She basically was a 5,000-year-old vampire, one of the very first vampires in this story, right? And the history of it is that she was bitten by the first vampire that basically was a demon named Yaksha. And Sita then lives out 5,000 years, and there's a lot of Hindu mythology roped into it, but basically finds out in the very first book that her creator, who's still alive, is coming to kill her because back when they were, basically when they met Krishna, who is the Hindu version of Jesus Christ, if you will, not exactly 100% accurate, but that's the closest thing I could relate him to. Krishna had said that Sita could stay alive if she never made any more vampires, but then promised Yaksha he could stay alive if he then killed all of his creations, which included Sita. And so for 5,000 years, she's avoided him. She's basically tried to live her life as she's wanted to. And the first book is basically the fact that Yaksha has found her and he's trying to kill her. And then the rest of the books basically are more adventures of Sita. There's a point where she meets a descendant of hers. There's a point where she meets somebody who is the son of Yaksha, which Pizza Dog here says Matt. There's a character, Matt, that we find out is his son. And there's like all kinds of other things. And there's like a sci-fi twist aspect to it. There's a whole part of it that, well, sci-fi in the sense where like it's kind of got like there's a spaceship aspect involved, but it all basically has to do with like Hindu mythology roped into the story of a vampire, if that makes sense. It's a really cool series. It's, like I said, the first 6 books are 90s material, so they're not nearly as good today as they would have been back then. But the last 3 books were really good for me. Like, I thought they were way better, and they were really fun. I mean, vampire. Funny, I'm at the part where we're discussing Matt, and you felt like he was someone else. I did, because I was very confused. Like, he kind of had a different kind of vibe to him at first, and I was like, wait, is this the same person? I don't, like, it had been so long since I read those books that I was all kinds of confused at first, but then getting back into them, I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute. I remember now. This makes sense. I know who we're talking about. Because, God, it had been so long since I read them the first time. It was so much fun, like I said, going back to reading those, because that was, I think, one of the first vampire stories I got into back when I was in high school. It was that, the Vampire Kisses series by Ellen Shriver, because one of my cousins recommended that. Vampire Academy. Never Twilight. I was never a Twilight fan. Hated it. I could not read past the first sentence in Twilight. That's how much I hated it. And I hated the movies too. They were just, ugh, I couldn't stand them. But that's personally me. Like, I've just never been a fan of them. Great series and love your videos. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have tons of other reread / finish series like that I've done over the years. If you're interested, there's another series that was first the 90s and then picked up again in the 2000s. It's called Kissed by an Angel. It's kind of like angel romance kind of idea, where it's basically like a young adult story that deals with angels and has romantic aspects in it, basically. So there's more of that. There's more of that content if you would like to go see any of it. If you find any other books that I've read that you would like to watch. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and do our next roll. And we're going to go ahead and do our next sprint here in a few minutes, but we'll get the roll set up so that we know what we're doing. Okay, so we rolled a natural 1. So those of you that don't know, that means we have to re-roll, and depending on the number, we either double or have it. All right, and then that time we rolled another 4. So because this is under 30 minutes, we're going to double this. So normally this would be 20. We're going to double it to 40 because this one was initially under 30. So we'll do a 40-minute sprint for this next one, which isn't too bad. Most people, it's pretty comfortable. This is a very pink Pomodoro style timer for those of you that are fans of that. So yeah, but I didn't even say how much I got through. I think I got through like 7 pages of Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, but I don't have anything to say on it yet. But we'll get through some more of this now that everything's finally settled. So yeah. But anyway, I guess let's go ahead and get started. Why not? I don't got anything else to say right now. So, all right. So we'll do 40 minutes of reading, everybody. Have fun. Good luck. Happy reading or whatever it is you're doing. And I will see you all in 40 minutes. Go. Oh, okay. The dogs are at it, apparently. All right, guys, so that was 40 minutes. How'd you guys do? I got through about 60 pages. This is a very fast book, and the type is very large. So, very easy to fly through. I like this. I think this is super cute. For those of you that might have joined and didn't see what I ended up picking up today, I'm reading Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw. This is the sequel adaptation of the Nightmare Before Christmas story, and it's super cute. I mean, obviously Shea is a fan of the movie and has seen it multiple times because this really does feel like it's in Halloween Town, and it does feel very much like it's in the world of Nightmare Before Christmas, which makes me very happy. And I will even say that I like the idea of Sally in this story. She kind of like is questioning whether or not she's really supposed to be the Pumpkin Queen, and like if it's even, you know, worth it for her to be that. Like, and so she kind of tries to figure out herself with this new role in her life. And I definitely feel like this is something that would happen. I feel like if there was to be a sequel to the story, this would be something along the lines of that, because, I mean, if we think about it, those of you that are Nightmare Before Christmas fans, Sally led her entire life basically being told that she was never allowed to really experience life, you know, under Dr. Finkelstein, and she was pretty much trapped her entire life. And now, in this one, she feels trapped in a different context. She's trapped in the role of being the Pumpkin Queen and only being that, and she doesn't want that to happen. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, she almost goes down the same path that Jack did in The Nightmare Before Christmas herself, which I think is a really cool thing, because we didn't really get to see that much of Sally in that regard in the movie. Like, we saw her, you know, falling for Jack and trying to warn him about not doing the things he was planning on doing with Christmas. And now we're going to see Sally kind of go down almost that same path in a sense, which I think would be really interesting to see. Kind of how she falls prey to the same things that Jack did that she tried to save him from. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited. But I'm currently on page 70. And I only need to get to page 104 today for my reading goal. So I think that in the next sprint, I should be able to get there. And then I think from there, I'm going to pick up my other book I'm working on, which is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which this is for my next Finish Your DNF project, which the first episode of that, you guys, is coming out next week. I'm so excited. My first episode of my Finish Your DNF series is coming out next Friday. So excited. So, made it to 68% of the Empress's Salt and Fortune. Nice. Amazing, you're doing really good. Thanks. I mean, truthfully, like I said, this is a fast read. Like, this is something you could get done in a day kind of thing. Like, it moves that quickly. Like I said, I'm on page 70, right? The book itself is 311 pages. This is something that you literally could fly through in like a few hours. It is not too hard to like fly through these kinds of books. And it's YA too, which also makes it really easy, because YA, especially like a YA contemporary, for me is super, super easy to like just fly through the whole thing. Like, I finished Ophelia After All in like 2 days. Because I had to like stop obviously partway through, but in 2 days I was able to finish that book because I flew through it. That's a fun series idea. Can't wait for the video. Thank you. I'm super excited. So I'm going to say y'all are probably going to be a little surprised with how the first episode's going, because I've said it before, and I'll tell you guys that are newer that what it is basically I read the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. And the idea of the Finish Your DNF series is that either I need to finish the entire series, or if I DNF at a certain point, the books then get unhauled if I personally own them, or I just never pick up the series again, kind of thing. Like, basically, it's especially for series where, like, I either haven't started it and I would like to be able to start and finish it, like all like in the same video, or I end up DNFing it. It's either one or the other kind of thing. So I think you guys are going to be kind of surprised with how things are with the From Glenn and Ash series. So that's all I'll say. That's all I will say. You'll have to wait till next Friday. That's when that video comes out, but very excited for that. I'll be editing that actually tomorrow. So it's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see how you guys react to that because I think it's going to be fun. But yeah, so other than that, how's everybody doing? I know that a lot of stuff's happened on my end, just with life and feeling like, you know, there's so much going on with like my family. My sister moved apartments basically. So dogs are going at it. Oh, that reminds me. So during that sprint, my husband brought back Buddha, who is Oscar's sister. That's her yelping in the background because she's getting after Oscar because he will not leave her alone. So we're going to end up basically keeping it where I'm going to sleep with her in the bedroom and he is going to be sleeping out in the living room with my husband. Because apparently Oscar takes a long time to settle down because we've had him stay with my in-laws before and he's been fine with, you know, that. It's just, it took him a long time to finally wind down to go to sleep. So basically after sprints, I'm going to take Buddha into the bedroom and she's going to sleep with me in there. And Oscar's going to sleep out in the living room with Robert. So it'll work. It'll all work out because it was going to be a little bit too much, I think, for my husband to take her all the way back to my in-laws' house. So it just works out easier if she stays here with us, which is totally fine. Plus, my in-laws are just at a camping ground like 5-10 minutes away. So they're not too far. But yeah, if you hear yelping and barking, that's them. So, but yeah, so my sister moved apartments and she's in her last semester of college. So that's been kind of an interesting journey. We did that a few weeks ago, which was why early this month I could not do sprints or I think I did sprints the night before. I can't remember. There was like a weekend early this month where like, I went and did that. And then the weekend after that was the Brandon Sanderson live show, which I ended up missing out on for something. I think I was hanging out with family or something like that. But yeah, so what's coming up? What's coming up soon? I'm going to talk about that. Robert's birthday is the 16th, so that's going to be fun. We don't have any plans for it as of now, just because he is probably going to go over to his parents. And I probably will as well, but I have to work on that Friday. So more than likely, it won't be till like the later part of the night. And I don't think we're doing anything specifically with his friends. It wasn't like, I don't remember like him saying anything about wanting to do stuff with friends. And we don't really do a lot for his birthday anyway. Just because he's not like a big party person. He doesn't necessarily want a bunch of people over all the time. But I think at the very least what we might do, maybe Saturday the 17th, is we might like have friends over for drinks and games and stuff. So I might not be streaming on the 17th just because it'll be his birthday weekend. And that's if he's even feeling well enough. So if he's not feeling well enough to even want to do that, then I might sprint, but I'm not sure. So 17th is kind of a tentative thing, but next weekend is the Brandon Sanderson live show. So I definitely will be not on next weekend because I would like to participate in chat or in the live show with that, whichever one ends up happening. So I think that there might be only this sprint and then a sprint at the end of the month this month. It'll just depend on how things go. But yeah, so that's kind of stuff coming up for right now. That I'm aware of, other than obviously content coming out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and podcast on Wednesdays, which if you haven't checked out my podcast, Owl's Book Nest, please, if you can spare some time, do so. I've been working really hard on it. I've done, 5 episodes as of now. I just recorded episode 6 earlier today. And I think this is going to be my favorite episode so far of the podcast because it's talking a lot about my reading journey, kind of how I got started with reading and kind of where that led me today. So if you'd like to check it out, I would highly, highly recommend. It's just Owl's Book Nest. If you look it up on Spotify, it should pop up. And it's also on the Anchor app. But I would really, really appreciate if you guys give a listen if you have the time. And just give me some feedback on it. I would really appreciate any and all feedback just because I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing with podcasts and I'm just literally just talking maybe into a void. But if you guys have any thoughts, any ideas you want me to talk about for topics, let me know. And otherwise, just let me know what you think of it, what you don't like, because I will definitely try to work on things that need help with. So just would really appreciate it. I need some kind of feedback because I haven't had any feedback and I'm already on episode 6. So I would really appreciate it. But anyway, I guess that's about it. So I don't know. I don't really got much else to say. I'm kind of a boring person sometimes because I feel like all I do is I work, I read, I make videos, and I don't have much to talk about because otherwise I'm a pretty boring person. But I try to be goofy. I try to be goofy to make up for it. So there's that. But yeah, I'll know. Ooh. I don't know if you guys can even hear them, but they're going at it apparently. But yeah, so I don't even think I have anything new to show you or anything because sometimes I like to do a show and tell, but I don't have anything. What's the name of the podcast? It's called Owl's Book Nest. So OWL apostrophe here. I'll type it in the chat. And if you just look that up on Spotify or the Anchor app, it should show up. Taking some time for it to go through. Oh, no. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So this is the name of it. Just look it up on Spotify, look it up on the Anchor app. Those are the 2 places it's currently on right now. I would, again, really appreciate any feedback, any thoughts you guys have on it. You can reach out to me with any, thoughts or anything on my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, if you want. I think those are the only ones I right now use. Yeah, those are the only ones I right now use. So yeah, I would really appreciate it. A couple of the episodes are a little shorter just because I felt like I didn't have as much to say on certain topics. But this episode coming out should be at least half an hour. I think maybe almost 40 minutes, which I'm really excited for because again, it's going over like something that I think is a little bit more interesting, and I definitely had a lot more to say. And you guys will get to learn a little bit more about me in terms of how exactly I got introduced to things like BookTube, because I do talk about that a little bit. And I will say it was a personal connection to BookTube. So very excited for that one. I'll be editing everything and stuff tomorrow. Typically on Sundays, I go through and I edit like all my content for the week. So, thank you, Gigra. I appreciate it. Yay, that's exciting. Yay. I love seeing that stuff. But yeah, I feel like I've been working really hard on it. I just don't really feel like I 100% know what I'm doing. So I don't know if what I'm doing is engaging. I don't know if what I'm doing is talking too much, basically, even though I'm by myself. I am trying to see if I can get a few people to do episodes with me. So I have a series going on with it right now that starts with episode 4, and it's called Genre Talk. And I started off the series talking about fantasy, which is the genre I predominantly will read from, and I feel like I know the most about. So I'm looking for people who believe themselves, obviously, to be very ingrained with certain genres to sit and discuss with me about certain genres. So the next one I would like to do would be on science fiction. So anybody who's a science fiction lover, an avid science fiction reader, I would really appreciate it if you could reach out to me and let me know if you would like to be a part of that. I can figure out a time where we can sit and talk and just kind of go over stuff. Basically, we would just be talking about the genre itself. What are some things you really enjoy with it? What are some things that, you would like people to know when they go into starting reading science fiction? What are some good recommendations for people just getting into it? That kind of thing. Like just talking about the genre itself idea. So, and kind of like what are some other avenues for people to get into science fiction that might not necessarily be books, but would like help them kind of getting into the genre itself. Because there are plenty of people who will say that science fiction books are a lot harder to pay attention to than like movies or TV shows. So if you guys, have anyone that you think I should talk to, or if you know enough about the genre and read enough of it to provide any kind of discussion on it, please, reach out to me and let me know. But yeah, so all right, I think with that, let's go ahead and roll for our next sprint, because I think it's time for us to do another sprint. So let's see what we end up getting. Okay, so that time we rolled a 2, so it's going to be a really short sprint this time. We're going to do a short 10-minute sprint. So I definitely will not get to my reading goal with that, but that's okay. It's fine. We'll just wait till the next one for me to get to my reading goal. It's totally fine. So anyway, we pull out the timer. Now this one's really cute and perfect because I am one of those people where once September hits, it is spooky season. So I am so excited. Y'all, I can't wait. I got so much Halloween stuff today from Michael's and Dollar Store, and I'm just so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for Halloween. I'm so excited. So yeah, I got a little Halloween timer here to show my love for it. But we'll do about 10 minutes, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Go. Okay, guys, that was 10 minutes of reading. Hope you did well. I got through a couple more chapters. I got through like another 11 pages. 21 pages actually. So I'm very close to my reading goal. I have like 12 pages left to my reading goal for today, which is very awesome. And then I think I've actually decided I'm going to move on to something else besides The Darker Shade of Magic because I forgot I needed to read something for a review I'm doing in my weekly vlog. I promised I would do a vlog. Oh boy. Okay, well, and I just found out that the Kindle version of this book that I'm supposed to read is like completely unreadable. So I'm going to have to contact the author on that one. So that sucks. But that's okay. Never mind. I guess I will read Dark Shade of Magic. So how'd you guys do? Okay, no worries, Courtney. But yeah, how'd you guys do that time? Oh, God, my nose is so itchy. Ugh. It's getting to that point where, like, it's that time of the year where with the transition between summer and fall, my allergies go freaking nuts. So I'm stuffy. My nose constantly itches. It's so annoying. I know. I'm sad. Like, this author reached out to me on Instagram, and it looks really cute. Like, it's supposed to be, I think, a book of poetry. But this is what the book looks like through Kindle. And it's through Kindle Unlimited. So I don't know if this is like a printing issue or what, but I'm so upset. Like, I want to review this for them, but it's unreadable. I can't read it. So I'll have to message them and tell them that that's the case because I said I was going to have it in this week's vlog. Did nothing. I thought about getting a snack, but ended up scrolling Insta. That's fair. Another 2% of my book. Awesome. Didn't read, warmed up something to eat. Hey, it was short, you know? If you got something in that time to eat, that's totally fine. No worries. We're going to have probably more sprints going on later. But yeah, I'm really disappointed with that. I really wanted to read it because it sounded like it was going to be really, really sweet. And I'm all for trying to support indie authors. So I really wanted to help this person out and, you know, just take some time because it was going to be a short thing anyway. Like it was going to take me not that long to read. So it made sense for me to pick it up super quick, but now I can't read it and I'm sad, but it's okay. It is what it is. Hopefully, at the very least, I can let them know that that's the issue and then hopefully they can get that remedied so that maybe at a later time I can get the book and read it and review it for them. So yeah. But anybody else go through this stupid allergy thing where like in between seasons, a lot of times like your allergies go crazy? For me, it is always between summer and fall and from winter to spring is when my allergies get so bad. From summer to fall, my nose will get really stuffy. And then from winter to spring, it's like I'm sneezing a lot because everything's opening back up and then stuffy and then runny. I'm in the middle of the last Shade of Magic book. I've been trying to read the books I've owned for a long time. It's not bad, but not as good as the BookTube hype had made me believe. Oh no! Issa, don't tell me these things! No, it's okay. Honestly, I've only read through like the first couple of chapters of A Darker Shade of Magic. And it's fine. I don't know. There's something about V.E. Schwab's writing style that I don't think I jive very well with because I read Gallant, which was her newest book back in May, and I really liked it, and I really liked the writing of that one, but I don't know if it's just this like older stuff of hers that I'm not jiving with the writing so much because the same thing happened with Monsters of Verity. With This Savage Song, I didn't care for the writing. It made it really hard for me to enjoy the story. So I don't know if it's just how she used to write back then that is tripping me up. Because like I said, I liked Gallant enough. Or if it's something else within this area or this era of her writing. Where like the stories just weren't, there. But I guess we'll see. Just got off work finally. Awesome. Happy for you. Glad that you're off of work. Hope it was a good day. It's like 10 o'clock. It's after 10 o'clock here at night. So I had the day off today for the weekend. So, and my friend sent me a video, which I'll watch later. But yeah. So we will be continuing sprints. For those of you that don't know, I usually do sprints for about 4 hours. For me, it's about 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. EST. So for like, if you're on the west coast of the U.S., like California area, that side, it usually is from like 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., if that helps. I know some people are kind of here, some people are kind of there, some people are kind of everywhere. So, yeah, that's that. But I usually sprint when I do for about 4 hours, and we sit and chat usually. But so does anybody got plans for the upcoming Labor Day holiday? That is something that is coming up in the States. If you're from the States, we have Labor Day on Monday. I have the day off. Robert, unfortunately, does not. But I will be spending my day off doing nothing but reading, and I'm so excited. Eek! I'm so happy. Darker Shade of Magic was okay. I haven't finished the trilogy yet. Really liked Vicious, and it's a graphic novel. Haven't read Vengeful yet. I have heard that Vicious is one of the more popular ones. I mean, Darker Shade of Magic, I've heard, is her most popular series, but Vicious is like Vicious is the favorite adult series because that one's more adult, whereas this is more YA. And I've heard of Standalone. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is like her best standalone. And I liked Gallant, but it wasn't like my most favorite thing in the world, but I definitely have enjoyed that the most of what I've read of her so far. But I don't know. I mean, I'm very, very far. I am not very far into this, so it is likely my mind will change over time. I at least have to give it that 10% that I usually do before DNFing, and I'm almost there. But I think that this would fare better if I just got used to the writing style. Like, once I get used to it, I'll probably be fine. I will be working Labor Day. That sucks. Hate that for you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I will be spending my whole day reading, more than likely, which will be nice. Because when I get to my reading goal for that day, then I can focus more on this and really get this one going, because I would like to be able to finish the series before the end of September, because the video for that is supposed to go out in October. Like, I'm trying to basically take the entire month to read through a series for that video series, and then like the next month, do with that So in August, I got through From Blood and Ash. And I spent that whole month of the time, giving myself that whole month to read the series up to where it is currently at the very least. And then the video was going to come out in this month because it would give me enough time to be able to then edit it and make sure that everything was fine. We were going to do mini golf and go-karts, but COVID. Yeah. So probably a movie marathon. Fun. And, it's like I said, maybe it's that kind of silver lining that you guys, at least are all sick together so you can actually spend time together, which, that's always super, super nice. I, knock on wood, or fabricated wood at least, I have not I have not had COVID at all in the nearly 3 years that this has been going on. And I'm very fortunate. My husband also has been COVID-free. The rest of my family, not so much. My grandparents got it. My parents, my sister got it. And I somehow have managed to not. So I'm hopeful that I will never have to deal with it. I will say, however, funny enough, shortly before all of this happened, I'm going to say shortly, it was like 4 months before all of this happened, I got really sick out of nowhere for like 3 days. And it was like a really bad cold. Don't get me wrong. But right before, like I said, about 4 months in like December, middle of December of 2019, I got really sick out of nowhere. Like, I don't know how it happened. I don't know what caused it. But it was like in the course of one day, because this was back when I was able to go to the office still. And this was back when I was living in my apartment. if y'all remember living, like when I was living in my apartment, over the course of the day, started off the day feeling totally fine. And then by the time I got to about after my lunch, I started feeling really crummy. And then I kid you not, every single hour after my lunch, I just slowly got more and more sick. I got a headache. I started getting hot. My nose started to get really runny and I couldn't stop sneezing. And I started getting a sore throat. I thought I was getting strep. It was bad. And my stomach was also like all kinds of gunked up, that by about 3:00 that day, I said, I have to go to the doctor. And I'm not really somebody that goes to the doctor all that often, other than for like maybe my yearly exam. So when I say I have to go to the doctor, I have to go to the doctor. And they tested me, you know, with everything. They said it was probably something just viral because I didn't have the flu. I didn't have anything else going on at the time. And they're like, all right, we'll just go home, drink some fluids, and you should hopefully be okay in a couple of days. Like, take some cold medicine. And sure enough, I took cold medicine. The next morning, I was still so stuffy, and I sounded sick, but I felt so much better. Like, I was at like a 10% by the time I got home that day. I was at like maybe 60, 70% when I woke up the next morning. And I went to work, and I was fine. Like after like another like 2, maybe 3 days, I was totally back to normal. It was the weirdest thing. And then the whole thing with COVID started happening. And I'm like, did I possibly have some kind of COVID like before it happened? And that was not the case. I just got really, really sick right beforehand. We'll also be reading all day on Labor Day. I'm going to snuggle with the cats and be a potato. Yes, potato. Love being potato. We figured it was coming when the kids returned to school. We got it last year after back to school too. Oh man, so you guys have had it twice? Yikes, that sucks. I never got it either. I was very sick January 2019. Flu negative. One night my son came home from work and started shaking me. He thought I died. Oh God. I mean, I wasn't at that point, but I definitely was like, it was bad. And I remember that when I got home that day, especially when I got home from the doctor, Robert was home. And I think he had like the night off or something like that from work. Because at that time he was working nights. And I remember he bundled me up and he put me into, goodness gracious, the dogs are going crazy. He bundled me up, put me into bed, and he put on Elf. Because at the time, like it was, like I said, it was right before Christmas. So it was perfect. It's one of my favorite comfort movies. And it's eventually like I said, I think he had the night off that night. After that movie ended, he then put in The Mummy, which is my other comfort movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. So, and this was before we even got engaged. This was actually a few weeks before we got engaged. That he did that. And I felt like such crap, but I was all snuggled up like a potato, leaning on my side, watching my movie. And I was all kinds of happy. And then, like I said, the next morning after having especially taken a lot of cold medicine, felt so much better, but I definitely was still not feeling the best. Like that was probably the worst I have felt sick wise in a long time. Cause like I've been sick with strep. I was sick with 2 different strains of scarlet fever in my lifetime. And I never felt as bad as I did that day. And I have not felt that sick since then, thankfully. But that was like, it was weird. It was so out of the blue. And I still, to this day, I'm like, there had to have been something going around that time. Because basically, if like you track back a lot of stuff that was going on with COVID, it kind of all started around that time frame, December, January 2019, and then it was in March. Oh, well, no, December 2019, January 2020, and then March 2020 was when everything went into lockdown. So it was just, it was rough. It was really, really rough. And I would not have wished that upon anybody. And from what I've understood with my own family having been sick from COVID, I wouldn't wish that on anybody either. Because, I mean, like, all those poor people who got sick and, like, they have had, like, massive lung issues since then. Like, that's terrifying. So I hope that, Destiny, you guys are doing okay. I mean, obviously you sounded like you guys are doing it pretty okay, especially if you've already had it once, but just take care of yourselves, guys. Seriously, like, everybody take care of yourselves. Make sure that you're keeping up with drinking your fluids. Like, take some vitamins if you can. If you haven't got your booster shots, I would highly recommend you doing so, just because, it would be beneficial to you at least to know that you have it, because I know plenty of people who haven't even got the vaccine, that when they got COVID, it was really bad. And then comparatively to people who had got the vaccine and their boosters, like, it was much more mild symptoms. So I'm not telling you what to do, obviously, but I would recommend it if you haven't gotten it already, because I do think that it would probably make things a lot easier for you down the line. And especially if you're immunocompromised, like, I hope that you're doing okay, because good God, you guys, like, it's freaking nuts what we all have to go through, let alone just people who are immunocompromised. Like, I can't even imagine. That must be terrifying. I was out of commission for at least 20 days. Holy crap. Don't remember most of it. I do work in a hospital, so I feel like I got it early. No lingering issues. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you work in a hospital. I mean, I don't think that there are many people who work in hospitals that didn't get it, to be completely honest. I'm surprised that, like, there's any that haven't. Oh, goodness. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, that was the worst I've ever felt. But, like, my allergies sometimes can kick my butt, like, bad. And then especially, like, if I overwork myself, like, I used to be, I don't even know, like, how I would necessarily overwork myself. But, like, back in high school, there would be times where I would be go for, like, 2 weeks doing, like, just a bunch of stuff. And then all of a sudden my body would shut down. And, like, I'd be sick for, like, 2-3 days because my body was burned out. And I don't even remember how that must have happened, because I wasn't doing really that much more than what I would have normally done. But I don't know. Gonna go to sleep. It's been fun. Okay. Thank you for the sprints. Hope you all had a good evening. Thank you, Issa. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Get some rest. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I've just always been one of those people that, like, doesn't get sick all that often. And when I do get sick, it's usually because my body is, like, either rejecting allergy medication and, like, it's just messing around with my allergies. Or, like I said, when I was in high school, I would get sick a lot from just burning myself out unintentionally and unknowingly. Because, like, back in high school, I didn't do too much to where I would overrun myself. But, like, I can remember, like, when I did get sick, it makes kind of sense because, like, at the time I was doing tech rehearsals for drama, and then I would probably be starting up with dance rehearsals for the dance team at my high school. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But even still, like, it wasn't that bad. Like, I wasn't, like, that super overachieving, like, student where, like, constantly studying, constantly doing all these things for extracurriculars, like, piling more and more things on top of me, but somehow I would still burn myself out. And then that would happen every now and then in college, but that was more so, like, I get migraines because, like, I just was constantly anxious. So then I would get sick basically, where, like, I would have migraines for a day and I would have to stay home because I would not be able to go to classes. I wouldn't be able to function. So, I don't know. It's weird. Bodies are weird. Bodies and how they get sick are very, very weird from person to person. But, all right. Anyway. I'm going to have to refill that here in a minute. But let's go ahead and roll for our next sprint. Let's see what we end up getting. All right. We're sticking to the shorter ones apparently tonight, guys. Hopefully I didn't jinx that. But we rolled another 4 that time. So we're going to do another 20-minute sprint. A little longer than this last one, but still, it's 20 minutes. All right, let me get this set up again. So we're going to use the pizza timer again, and I'm going to go get some more wine and continue with my book. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So everybody, have a good 20 minutes of reading. I will see you soon. Go ahead and get started. That should be enough noise. Okay, that was 20 minutes. Did get to my goal for today, so I'm done reading Long Live the Pumpkin Queen for now. I'm like 35% of the way through this. Not much different than what I can say earlier, but really liking it so far. I think it's very cute. And I do think that for those of you, like I said, that are Nightmare Before Christmas fans, you will definitely get something from this. And the interesting villain that we've come across already, I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see how it continues from here. Because I don't know what the purpose is of this villain, but it's exciting. And then I only really got through like 4 pages more of this. So, and I also checked in on the husband who is currently laying in bed with the dogs. They are barking a little bit here and there, but not too bad. I think they're finally getting settled down for bed. So that's good. And then probably once I go to crawl into bed, they're going to get all kinds of hyper again, which is, it's whatever. They apparently are settling down now, though, a little bit better, which is good. So there's that. So we got a little bit more than an hour left. How'd everybody do? 22 more pages and I'm done with my daily reading goal. Nice. Same. Very happy for you. So I'm going to go back in the chat and see what you had said earlier. So you finished reading. Did you finish reading your reading goal for The Many Daughters of Afang Moy, or did you get started with The Way of Kings? Which one? Because if you started The Way of Kings, I want to know how you're thinking of it so far and how far you got into it. But if not, maybe start it now? Maybe? Oh, all right. So yeah, I think that the rest of the night I'll be working on this. Oh, yeah. And then tomorrow I'm going to be editing basically all day. I will be hanging out more than likely in some sprints, though, to kind of just kill some time and, read like a chapter of the Sword of Kaigen. Ooh! Okay, so I'm going to be reading this month. I'm very excited. This book is part of my friend Brandy's membership book club. I don't know if you know Brandy from Books with Brandy Shea at all. But this is her book club book for this month for all her members, for her the people that subscribe to her as like YouTube members kind of thing, which I do. I'm excited. I have heard really good things about the Sword of Kaigen. And so I'm really excited to be able to read it because like it's kind of been like one of those ones that's been on my back burner, like fantasies I want to get to, but I never had like a real good enough reason to pick it up until Brandy decided to use it this month for her book club. So I'm really excited. I can't wait. I can't wait. And then Way of Kings I'll be picking up. I think I'm going to pick up the Sword of Kaigen later in the month. Let me look at my reading schedule thing. Because I every month go through with whatever books I'm currently going to be reading that month. And I try to like write out where I should be getting to with like, 100, so many pages. Like this month it's like 134 pages is like my daily goal. And then sometimes depending on like chapter lengths, it might be longer, it might be shorter, whatever the case may be. But Sword of Kaigen is later this month. I think it's going to be the last book I read this month. Yeah, I think that's the case. Because it's not on my Bookopolis TBR and it's not on my Wheel of D20, so I think it's going to end up being the end of the month. Oh yeah, it is, because it's part of it's going to be part of Mini Greek Godathon that I'm going to be participating in, which is going to be the last full week of September, because it's actually taking up 2 spots for Mini Greek Godathon. So yeah, that makes sense. I'll be finishing that up at the end of the month. And then I have 3 other books I have to also read for that week. But I have to put those ones in though, actually, now that I think about it, because I did not. But it won't be too hard for me to do that, so I'll just throw those in there in just a moment. Oh God, I got a really bad itch right between my shoulder blades. Ow, I can't reach it. Ugh. God, I hate that. Some days I wish I was double jointed. Other days I'm like, how do you manage having that? Like, I'm sure it's not like that crazy to be double jointed, but some days I feel like it would be pretty helpful. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I've just been really getting into reading, so I've just found booktube, and I've watched a few of Brandy and Bree Sprints. Oh, awesome! Yeah, I hang out with them quite a bit, so you might see my face from time to time in either of their sprints. But yeah, they're two awesome booktubers. I've really gotten to like them. I've really only like known them since about March, when they started doing the Brandon Sanderson read along. So I've gotten to be pretty good friends with them, actually. So you might see my face every now and then. I'm sure that's actually why you're here, because if you've seen their sprints, you've probably seen me there. So I appreciate you being here. I really do. I want to read a total of 100 pages, 35 of Way of Kings. So far, I've read the prelude up to chapter 2. Sanderson said it's almost 50 pages. Yeah. It would be a shock if a fantasy prologue was shorter than 30 pages. That's all I'm going to say. Like, that's a really, really short prologue for a high fantasy story to be less than 30 pages because there's always so much context to build. No, I'm excited for Way of Kings. Really, like, I am. But I'm also intimidated by that length. Anything over like 500 pages, I'm immediately like, oh no, it's a lot. But I am really excited though, because I have heard that the Stormlight Archive is so good, and especially with the fact that Rhythm of War came out like 2 years ago, maybe not quite. It's just been something I've been meaning to get to for so long, and now we're also going to get the next book in Mistborn Era 2 later this year. And I'm excited because if book 1 and 3 were awful for Era 2 and book 2 was good, I think book 4 might be better than the other ones. Enjoying Way of Kings so far. A lot of characters are getting introduced. I'm already seeing similarities to Mistborn. Ooh, Era 1. That's exciting. Did you, Gigra, by chance, when you read Warbreaker, did you notice anything that might have tied it to Mistborn Era 1? Because Bree and I did. And we still have the live show that we need to do for everybody needs to do with Warbreaker. That's next weekend. Did you notice anything within that kind of might tie it to Mistborn? Because I did. And I'm excited to talk about it because it's going to be interesting. Like, I just love him as an author. Like, the pure fact that any person alone can create this entire universe and have multiple worlds in that universe and be able to not only explain all of the inner workings of those universes within, like, the Arcanum Unbounded, the collection of all the short stories, like, from each of the individual worlds, and, like, be able to sit down and explain to you how it's set up, like, how exactly the different worlds are set up in terms of their planets and all that. Like, the fact that you can do that and then also be able to tie in all of your worlds in the same universe together with, like, the smallest of details, like a character, for instance, with Hoyd. Like, I need to like seriously be able to see into that man's brain, because it's gotta be just one giant map, like one giant thought map with red yarn going in different directions. Like, I need to look into this man's mind because he is amazing at this writing stuff. Like, I'm enamored with him as a writer just because of the fact that, like, I wish I had that ability. And I wish I had the dedication to writing to then continue with creating that kind of stuff. And creating so much in a year when you're also a husband and a father and a teacher. Like, how is that possible? When does the man sleep? I don't know. I love it though. Like, I was told about him so many times when I was in high school and first getting into book 2 to read his work. And I kind of ignored it because I'm like, you know what, whatever. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And sure enough, soon as I get started with his work, I can't stop. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. But Way of Kings is going to probably going to hurt. I mean, not that the other books haven't hurt, but it's going to hurt. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. But, all right. Oh, goodness. All right, we'll start the next sprint in about 4 minutes. So we'll start at the top of the hour. Only read the first Mistborn book, but it's already one of my favorites. Oh, just keep going. Era 1 is amazing. Era 2 is okay. It's not the best. But he has the 4th. I don't think it might not be final. I don't remember if it's supposed to be the final book in Era 2. That's coming out in November, I think. And there is supposed to be 2 more eras in Mistborn itself. And they're all going to be placed at different points in a timeline. So you have Mistborn Era 1 taking place in one timeline. Mistborn Era 2 takes place 300 years after the events of Era 1. And then and in Era 2, there's new technological advancements that change up the way that the magic works in the whole system. And then Era 3, I think Bree and Brandy were saying was going to take place in a more present day scenario where like it was going to feel more modern. And then Era 4, I think they said was supposed to be going for like further in time, where it's going to be almost sci-fi-esque because it's going to be playing on a lot of like futuristic ideas. So I would highly suggest you continue at least with the first era. Second era, I mean, if you really want to right now, you could read it, but it's not the best. It's almost kind of one of those things where I would say you could also hold off on that until Era 3 gets started almost. Because, like, you're going to probably have to read Era 2 to understand some things that they're going to probably come up with in Era 3. But at the same time, Era 2 always felt like, to me, you didn't absolutely have to read Era 1 to read it, because they don't really make many mentions of anything that happens in Era 1. Like, they talk about a few things in passing, but you will need to have read Era 1 in the sense that there is a character in Era 2 that is directly tied to somebody in Era 1. And that's all I'll say. Like, there is a point to reading Era 1 before 2, but I wouldn't say you have to absolutely read Era 2 immediately after Era 1, if that makes sense. Because I think you would be fine to, like, wait until Era 3 comes around to maybe read Era 2. But obviously Era 3 is not even out yet. We don't know when that's going to come out. So we'll see how that all handles. But yeah, Era 2 is not my favorite. I feel like that's the worst that I've seen of his work so far. But I loved Elantris, I loved Warbreaker, and I loved Era 1. And I've also really liked a lot of the short stories that we've read. The Alamancer Jack ones. I loved the short story that is the bridge between Era 1 and Era 2. Loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good. And then I also loved the short story that comes after Elantris. Everything's just really good. It honestly, like, he might have a couple misses, but they're still good misses, if that makes sense. Yep, we're working next weekend. Lifeless, Biochromatic, and Kolos, Awakening, and Mistborn. I'm started for book 2 and Warbreaker. I think the type 4 Awakening that can awaken might show up. Ooh. Oh boy. That'll be fun. Yeah. I think it's possible. And yes, there is going to be a sequel to Warbreaker. For those of you that don't know, it is coming. It actually has a title right now. It's called Nightblood, which, if you've read Warbreaker, is the sword that one of the characters owns. If you haven't read it, it's not that much of a spoiler. Don't worry. Kind of happens like first introduction we get of the character. I think Awakening is going to play a lot with Mistborn. I also think that there is something about the color aspect that plays into Mistborn heavily. That's all I'll say for those of you that haven't read it yet. I think his tie into the whole universe comes from Elantris. That is why I think there will never be an Elantris book 2. I would agree. I think that Elantris, having been, first of all, his first published book he ever had done, obviously that sets up the whole world of like, that's like the beginning of what we see of the Cosmere, right? So, and the fact that there's a lot of similarities in the ruling classes in Elantris compared to Mistborn, I would not be surprised if certain aspects of who is in charge in Mistborn directly came from somebody from Elantris. I mean, it makes sense. And especially since they're all supposed to be tied together, like, that also makes sense to me. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that something about what happened in Elantris was then sent over to Mistborn, and then what the things that are involved in Warbreaker also play into the world of Mistborn because of the fact that, like, their worlds are all very interconnected. So, very excited. I'm excited for Warbreaker too, because for Nightblood, because the way that they ended that off with, especially the owner of Nightblood, I cannot wait to see that adventure go on. I think that's going to be a huge part of the second book, is going to be that adventure with him and the character that goes with him. It's going to be really good. Color plays into Way of Kings already. Ooh, oh boy. That's awesome. That's exciting. That is very exciting to hear. Like, if that's happening very early on, I'm excited. I'm holding out until the 24-hour readathon, but that's super exciting. Okay, so we're over time that I wanted to start the sprint, but that's okay. It happens. So let's go ahead and do our roll. Okay. All right, so this one is going to be slightly longer, still fairly short in my mind for most people, but that time we rolled an 8. So I think this might be our last sprint. I think this is going to be the last sprint for tonight, because by then it's going to be almost 1:45. So we'll call this the last one for tonight. Nightblood might be the awakened awaken. I highly believe that, because the way that they talked about him in the book in comparison to the world itself, especially when you read the back information at the back of the book, that's also my thought. I think that was kind of a given, but not like you would have had to like have been reading the book and understanding what's going on for you to get that. But I think that was pretty much something he was giving the readers, was like that's a thing. That's what he is. So, all right. So we're going to do our 40-minute sprint. We're going to reset that Pomodoro timer that I had. And we will get our final sprint for the night started. So I'm going to put a banner up too to say this is going to be our final sprint. I don't have one. All right. Let me make one real quick. Final sprint. There we go. And wait, I wanted it to ticker. Do the thing. Do the thing. That's what I wanted. There we go. All right. So 40 minutes of reading, everybody. Go ahead and get started, and I will see you at 45. Go. Sorry, everybody. I didn't even realize my mic was still muted. Yay, I think I need to go to bed. All right, guys, but that was our last sprint for the night. Hope you guys did well. I read a little bit more of A Darker Shade of Magic and then had to film a few clips for different vlogs because I've got like 3 vlogs going on right now. It's fine. It's fine. But I'm very tired, so I will be going to bed here soon. But Era 1 is so good. Agree. Keep going. It gets better. Yes. Hero of Ages is so good. I think it's why I didn't like Mistborn Era 2. Truthfully, I think that the way that Era 1 just in general went is the entire reason why I hated Era 2. Era 2 just was boring. Like, nothing feels like it really happened. And anything that did was not really super enthralling to me. But it is what it is. After reading The Sword of Kaigen, I'm for sure reading The Well of Ascension. Oh boy. Get ready. Get ready for some heartache. The Hero of Ages ripped my heart out even more, but The Well of Ascension, like, you get to the end of it, it tore my heart apart. I was very, very sad, but it was so good. It was so good. Gustin Shore has done read 10 pages. You're welcome, Destiny. Great job. Glad you got some reading in. Hope you guys start feeling better. If you guys need anything, just let me know, But I hope you all feel better and get over this sickness pretty quick. It's never fun to be sick, so. All right, folks. Oh, gosh. But I did some good reading today. I got to my reading goal, and I got to read a little bit more of A Darker Shade of Magic. I will say that, like, this has got some really interesting, like, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock vibes. That's all I'll say. And I don't know if that's the actual writing of the story or the audiobook or what, but I can't not now get it out of my head that this feels like I'm just watching Sherlock at this point, in a sense, where, like, RDJ is Kel to me, I guess, right now. A younger RDJ is playing Kel, is what's going on in my head. Thank you. Hopefully we bounce back fast. I hope so. I really hope you guys do, because that's never fun. So, okay, I am so tired. I'm going to go crawl into bed with my husband and the 2 doggos, and I'm going to go sleep and then spend all day tomorrow editing. So it's going to be a fun time. But yeah, so reminder, next weekend I will not be sprinting no matter what, because of the fact that there is the live show for Warbreaker that Bree and Brandy are hosting. If you've read it, please feel free to join all of us. There's going to be a ton of people there, hopefully. And we're going to be talking about Warbreaker. So, and then the weekend after that, I don't know whether or not I will be sprinting. I'm going to say no for right now. And if I do, you guys will be able to see it when I go live, hopefully, if you get notifications. So there's that. So glad I read Era 1 after they were all published. Not having Warbreaker 2 is pissing me off. Same. Yep. Good night, Gigra. Good night, Destiny. Good night, everybody. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, and hope to see you guys all soon. Bye, everyone.